All right, after waiting since February 15th, finally getting my hands on the Bigscreen Beyond. So this is a custom product. I imagine some sort of 3D printing has gone on to make this custom to your face, well, my face. You can see I 3D printed a model of the Bigscreen Beyond before it came out, so we'll see how close my mock-up was to it. But let's take a look. Amazing. Got signed by the Bigscreen team. Looks great. Very cool. Let's take a look at what's inside. The thing I'm most interested in right off the bat is this piece right here. I really wanted to see what this material felt like. And it is very interesting. Feels almost rubbery. It's a very, very interesting material. And I would guess that this is molded slash milled out. But I couldn't say for sure how exactly they're producing these. But there's magnets embedded on the other side there. But that is very cool. It's more rubbery than you would think. Let's look at the Beyond itself. We have the plastic on it. Let's get a look at those lenses. Very excited to try this out. And then we have the strap. We have the top strap. Thanks, Brad. Just kidding. And let's see what else we have in here. The real question though is, does this smell? You know, some electronics has a good smell to it. Anyways, this does not. It's pretty smellless. I'm not getting any like new Nintendo smell off of it. So this is our kind of USB-C adapter. Has two USB-As and a display port. And let's take a look at the cable down here. I imagine there's a cable down here. We've got, looks like this is probably a setup QR code to access our setup guide. So that will be interesting. Oh, we get our K-Cloth koala wipe. Keep our big screen nice and clean. And of course, the USB-C cable, which is clearly marked which side belongs on the HMD and which side belongs in the base station. And that is everything in the box. So really nice package here, complete, unlike the Pimax that I got and never posted the video on because I was so disgusted I just kind of let it fall to the wayside. Anyways, that's another story. Oh, really quick, let's compare my 3D version to the real thing. And looks like I got pretty close on the dimensions. Alright, so let's see how quickly this goes together. Basically, we've got our foam, which should magnetically attach like that. Then the strap itself, some plastic connectors, and looks like that just kind of notches in. Super easy. The adjustment happens by pulling on that side and this side, keeping them even. And then looking at the connecting piece, so it is the connector with the dot that actually goes into the headset, and that is right here. can see there's a dot and a dot. And just like that. Alright, what I've decided to use with the Bigscreen Beyond is some bone conduction headphones. I'm really used to the Valve Index, and I really like off-ear audio, and I think this will hopefully give a really good experience that lets me retain that kind of open air experience. So we're going to be looking at these, the Creative Outlier Free Pro. Let's take a look what's inside the box. These are kind of the premium, premier, high-end bone conduction earphones. So we've got a lot of manuals here. We'll go through overview of the buttons and things, but let's take a look and see what else is actually in the box. We've got the unit themselves. Really nice looking pair of headphones. And this right here is actually a plug, because you can go swimming with this thing. So you basically plug up the microphone when you're not going to be using it. And this is removable, but that's what this is for. This is so you can protect the microphone when swimming with these headphones. So really cool. Cool color scheme. USB-A with a magnetic connector, which goes on the side here. Imagine like so. And that will charge up your device. So we'll charge it up and give them a listen. Okay, so I've had some time to spend several hours with the Bigscreen Beyond, and it's a mixed bag for me, but I think everything is kind of working itself through to be a really good experience. But I do want to share my first experience with this, and take note, my first experience with it was not good. And so stick with me, because it gets better, but I'm going to talk about my first experience with the headset, and then the bad things about the headset, and then into the good things about the headset, and kind of where I sit on it at the end to kind of wrap that up. The first impression that I got when I first turned this on, it was very easy to set up. I just followed the directions, installed the Bigscreen driver. But the first thing that happened is my fan was just making this very high-pitched, whiny noise. And I was like, what in the world? I'm going to have to get over-the-ear headphones to block this noise out, because this is ridiculous. And it was very, I wish I would have recorded it at that time, but it was really bad. And the only way I was able to alleviate it was in the control panel, the Bigscreen Beyond control panel. You can turn the fan down, and I bumped it down to 40%, and that made it okay. But there was a fix for that, and that is that by adjusting, if you don't like snap this in quite right, or you could just kind of like knock it loose, the fan suddenly gets in the right position, and then it's fine. And my fan noise quieted way down. I was like, it was the loudest fan I'd ever heard on a headset. And I've, Quest and Quest 2 both have fans. Pico 4 has a fan, but this was something else. It was just like, I was just like, this can't be right. But the fan noise now is acceptable. You can hear it, but they do have a lot of controls on it. You can lower it way down. That's almost inaudible. You can ramp it way up. If you up your brightness above 100%, it will automatically adjust the fan up for you. So I'd prefer staying at like 100% or below, just so you can control that fan speed and kind of limit it. But once the fan wasn't making bad noises on me, I went from 40% and just bumped it all the way up to like 80%, because it wasn't an issue. 80% was kind of like, okay, this is bearable. So that was my very first experience with it. And then I put the headset on and got it all fitted, and it is very comfortable. It will seal the entire portion of your vision. And that is something that's a little, it's not foreign to me, but using Quest Pro for quite a while now with that open periphery, I'm really used to an open headset. So going back into a closed especially with no camera, felt a little bit claustrophobic. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm still not sure how I feel about it, because I would prefer more of an open experience. And I know that's just kind of not possible with this headset. I may try to 3D print something in the future, but we'll see. That's down the road. That's a different video. The other thing I was, in my first impression, putting this clip on, the clip really digs into the cable, and this design I'm not impressed with this design. I think I'm going to try to maybe 3D print something else, because while it does hold it fairly securely, and it's probably really good, especially if you're not using a VR cable system, which I am. So this really kind of pulls a little harder, which I don't know. These clips are just digging into the cable and making indents on it that are permanent. It's very hard on there. So anyways, my other issue is I put this thing on expecting, to have this amazing visual experience, and what I have is I cannot focus. I can't focus my eyes on things that are close to my face. If I look far away, it looks okay, but I bring it up and I just feel off. And if I hold up an object in front of me in VR, like in Half-Life Alyx, I'm holding the little can and trying to read things. And what's happening is, out of my right eye, if I hold the object right here, out of my right eye it looks clear, but out of my left eye it looks blurry. And if I hold it over here, my left eye looks clear and my right eye looks blurry. And if you try to split the difference and hold it right in the middle of your vision, basically what I got is it was slightly blurry. So I have this line, this kind of arc of blurriness right in the center of my vision that is absolutely distracting. And I'm having a really hard time with that. And it turns out that I may have the wrong IPD. This is a 63. I had 2 scans from Bigscreen. The first one came back at 62. The second one came back at 63. And it's just way too narrow. It's too wide of an IPD for my eyes, from what I can tell. Because, it's just weird, because there is just the smallest margin of error on this thing. You have these lenses that are so tiny. The screens are very small on this thing. So in order to get it centered, it's just millimeter precision. And the fact that if I got my left eye completely clear, my right eye would be too far over. And if I get my right eye perfectly clear, this eye is too far over. So I just have this fuzziness right in the center of my vision that is very distracting. I was able to spend several hours in the headset, but the whole time I just felt cross-eyed. When I came out, I felt off. And it was drastic difference. I know that the Quest Pro, the Quest 3 have very good lenses, and I've been using those, and I'm used to those. But I have the wrong IPD. So I'm working with Bigscreen to get the right IPD version for me. So I'm going to give it a pass on that. I can see how it's going to look. I can tell how it's going to look if we get both of the eyes clear, so I can see things right in front of my face. So yeah, I get there. I can't see clearly. The strap's digging into the back of this. I'm constantly having to wipe the lenses because it's touching my forehead. And when you first turn this on after it's been cold, it instantly vapors up once you put your eyes in there. So I can't see. My lenses are fogged up. It's whining like crazy on the fan. And I was just like, what is going on? This is not what I had in mind. But all of those issues kind of work themselves out as the fan issues are resolved. It just had to work itself in. It just suddenly popped into place. It's fine. Once the headset warms up, the cold fogging up goes away. Once I learned that I can't set it right on my forehead, otherwise I'll smudge it, and keep your little cloth on hand, because that's the thing. Any smudges on this thing will instantly block your view more so than any other headset, just because those lenses are so small and they're so close to your eye. So keeping those lenses clean is key. And once I get my IPD sorted too, all those issues should be taken care of. And it's good. The FOV is quite good. People are saying it's, almost index level. I would say horizontally it's probably index level. Vertically, there's no way. Index just has, this excellent vertical FOV where it's like it's higher than my eyes even reach, like outside of my skull. And when you look down, it's like it's almost perfect field of view, other than the little indents where you can kind of look down. There's like this little center area where you can see outside of the lens. But for me, the Valve Index almost has a perfect horizontal field of view. Almost. This one, not quite, but it is very good. And I was concerned, especially when I pre-ordered this, basically launch day, it was only saying 90 degrees field of view, which is a tough sell. But they've made the improvements, and this is absolutely fine. While, of course, we would prefer, as much field of view as we can get, this is a great device, and it stacks up, and it's not detrimental. And where this device really excels is the picture quality, the contrast, and the OLED experience, because, man, the colors just pop on this thing. I guess the original Oculus Quest was OLED, the Vive Pro was OLED, and the Vive was OLED, and I used all of those headsets, and it was just this surreal experience when you're using those OLEDs because the colors are just so vivid. And while I think LCD panels have gotten really good, even the Quest 3, the colors just really pop, and Quest Pro too. But this is just next level, and it's mostly due to not only are the colors popping, but the blacks are so deep that the contrast is really excellent, and you get that surreal feeling again, and that's what I was hoping for with the Bigscreen Beyond, and I really like that about this headset. So if I can get the IPD sorted so I can get it on my head the right way, I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. But yeah, those are my first impressions of the Bigscreen Beyond. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention. I was able to use this with Valve Index controllers, and it pairs up just fine. I've not had any tracking issues. So kudos there, because it's so small. You would think it's probably hard to shield it right and get the tracking perfect. And they've nailed that part of it, at least in my experience. I do have 3 base stations up, but it seemed exactly the same as the Valve Index to me. So yeah, I need to get my IPD issue resolved. But if I get that done and I can get it adjusted to not having cameras on the device, so I can, I'm used to the Quest where I can double tap and then suddenly I can see everything and grab stuff. Where this, you're in and you are in, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of people have said they can bring it up and put it on their forehead, but I can't do that. And that might be due to my face shape, and I'll tell you why I cannot do that. If I were to set it up on my head like this, what I run into is I now have smeared lenses, which means I now have to wipe them down. It comes with a cloth, by the way. Pretty nice. I have to wipe them down because my lenses are so close to the outside that if I put it against my head, I'm going to get skin on lens. And so that puts me in a really tough situation. If I am in VR and I want to grab something, I have to kind of hold this and not let it touch my head anywhere, because I don't want to get grease on the lenses. I don't want to get... So that's a difficult thing, quality of life thing, that I don't like. Most headsets at least have a little bit of a nose gap that you can kind of peek your eyes through, so if you're picking something up, it's fine. And I almost wonder if, and I mean, I'm not going to compromise my stock gasket, but I'm definitely going to try scanning this in myself and 3D printing out of TPU a similar gasket and see if I can kind of carve out some gaps here, because I don't like being sealed off completely. I mean, in some experiences it's fine. Like if I'm playing Half-Life Alyx, I do like that. If I'm playing like an adventure game, I do like being sealed off, which is pretty good. But if I'm doing a game where I'm like actually kind of moving around quite a bit, I like to be able to see my area, and I like to be able to see my legs, out of the bottom of my thing, so I don't run into a wall or something like that. And I may have to just tweak my boundaries again. I'm kind of used to Open Periphery Quest Pro, and that's alleviated the need to even have like the Steam VR boundaries up or anything. But yeah, Bigscreen Beyond, it's definitely a trip. I do have the head, what is that called? I do have a head strap ordered that they ordered on launch day that has not come yet, that will come in the future. And I'm curious to see how that may change the dynamic of the device, because that may make it a little bit easier. I want to talk about these. These are Creative Outlier Free Pro, and I, used the Valve Index for a long time, and they have the open ear headphones, and I really like that. I really like the ability to, not have pressure on my ears. I like earbuds okay, but I have very sensitive skin on my ears, and if I wear those, it literally makes me bleed. So I literally can't use built-in ones. I don't like the earmuff headsets because it gets too hot. So I've been using these, which I think are a great solution. These are the Outlier Free Pro Pluses, and they're a bone conducting set of earphones, and they just go on like this. And let me turn my head so you can see. It doesn't actually touch your ear at all. It kind of puts pressure on the bone by your ear, and these work great. Obviously, the sound quality is not as good as something like a Valve Index, but it is quite good in general. One thing you want to be sure is to make sure that you position them correctly if you use something like this, because if you get these and like these are bendable, so you can bend these slightly to get them adjusted right. If you just take them out of the box and put them on, you'll be like, wow, the sound quality sucks on these, but really you have to kind of pinch them and make sure that it's putting proper pressure just right on the front of your ear right here. And once you do that and it's actually pushing against your head, suddenly like the clarity comes through and you're like, oh yeah, these are great. And these work really well. I'm very happy with these as a solution for open ear audio. And one of the cool things is like, I mean, you can put the headset on and off while leaving your audio solution on. So that's actually pretty cool, because you don't have to put this on and then readjust your ears or anything. Like it's literally like this is the eye component and then this is the ear component. And this has both low latency and it has low latency options on it. So I've not noticed any delay from the games while using these Creative Outlier Free Pro bone conducting headphones. And I think they're a great match. They're lightweight and definitely work really well with the Beyond. So I need to provide an update video once my Bigscreen Beyond replacement with a 62. I think that's what's going to need to happen, is get a smaller IPD on this so I can actually enjoy it fully. But still, it's a remarkable device. One thing I didn't talk about really quickly is the resolution. And the resolution on this headset, 2560 by 2560 per eye, but it is so good. It looks, I mean, it's almost to the point where you can't make out the pixels. The only place I can make out pixels is if you have a line and you know how if a line is completely straight in pixels, it like is just a proper line. But if it's you look at it on an angle, suddenly you see the jaggies, like the aliasing jaggies. You can barely even see those. That's the only tip off that I can. I mean, it almost looks like reality with these on. It's that good. So I mean, it's the best experience, the best visual fidelity I've ever seen in a VR headset, both in terms of colors, contrast, and clarity. Other than the lens clarity, but I still need to get that a little bit worked out. Let me talk also about 90 hertz versus the 72 hertz or 75 hertz. I have tested this back to back on both the 75 hertz and the 90 hertz, and my recommendation would be just leave it at 90 hertz because I do like that extra motion clarity that you get, especially if you're playing something like Beat Saber. 75 is not high enough, 90 is okay. The other thing that surprised me about this headset was the brightness controls. Because in your head, you would think, I want this as bright as possible. And what I found is, well, one thing, anything over 100% in that fan is going to boost. And that fan's going to go to levels that I'm not comfortable with, especially using open ear headphones. The fan noise becomes distracting if you do anything above 100%, in my opinion. So I've kind of left it. This is what surprised me. I would have been like, well, I want it as bright as possible. But the contrast ratio in the display is so good. I found I could even bring the brightness down to something like 60%. And it's like, it didn't even matter because your blacks are so deep that your range of clarity within that, your brain just kind of adapts to low brightness like that. And it's completely sealed off. And because of that, the low brightness is not an issue at all. I was worried about the brightness, but for me, man, definitely not an issue. You can make it go bright. You can make it go pretty bright. Like I felt like if I put it at the highest level, I didn't like the fan noise, like I said, but it was like almost too bright. It was like, yeah, I don't want it this bright, So 100% is just fine. I've actually been keeping around 80%, and that is great. So yeah, and then in terms of, there's been all this controversy that the 90 hertz setting is 1920 upscaled to the 2560 by 2560 panel. And is there an issue with that? I really don't think so. Can I tell the difference if I go to 75 and look at the clarity and the pixel clarity? I think I could tell you. I think in a blind test, I could tell you which was which, but just barely. Like it's so not an issue to just run at 90 hertz for me. So one of the things that's definitely really nice about this headset is the fact that there's so little weight on the front of your head. Like you can move your head so fast that like faster than anything else. And it's so good, in fact, that I even like trying this out and then putting on the Quest 3 again. I was like, wow, like this feels heavy. And so the comfort on this, man, it definitely is there. And it's so funny that we went from headsets have they've slimmed down a little bit from like the Vive Pro days, unless you're, using a Pimax Crystal or something. But we just went so far to like the minimalism with the Bigscreen Beyond. It's just like crazy. It's just like, can we just like split the difference, and just get something kind of in between? That would be really nice, but it is what it is. And this is very light and I do like it. I just wish it maybe had a pass-through camera on it. And, I get it. That's maybe a version 2, or maybe they're just not interested in that. But I I personally think without a nose gap to look through or a pass-through camera, it's really painful to be putting this on and off all the time. Yes, you can do it super easy. It's the easiest headset to pop on and off that I've ever used, and the fact that it's 3D molded to your face, that it just slips into the right spot. It's just immediately there. So yeah, it's a great headset. I need to get my IPD kind of sorted on it, but I'm very impressed so far, and I think that it's definitely a winner. So it's custom. It takes a little bit to get it sorted and get it perfect, but I think people who pick this up are going to be quite happy with it.